Yes, what's going on, peeps? We are back in the damn building, guys. Make sure, as always, you're smashing the like, sharing, and subscribing to the damn channel, man. But listen, you guys can see what we're here to talk about, and that is Ekitike of Frankfurt. Apparently, the news that came out earlier on today, I think this was whilst actually was doing the stream with Ends. Liverpool are working on the signing of Hugo Ekitike. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano was speaking on YouTube and he said, Liverpool working on this deal. They are discussing the possibility of adding Ekitike to their squad. The idea of Liverpool is to have one more striker. They are waiting to understand what happens with Darwin Núñez, with conversations ongoing with Napoli. Liverpool can add a new striker, so Hugo Ekitike remains a name on the list for the club. Of course, this is not a deal happening today or tomorrow, so we need to be patient. But Ekitike is a name on the list for Liverpool. Now, obviously, listen, look, when we're kind of looking at it on face value, ultimately, it's important. It's important for Liverpool to get this decision right because they can't just go out there and try and sign just any old, attacker, right? And obviously there are the big ones. So you've got Hugo Ekitike, you've got Alexander Isak, you've got Victor Osimhen, you've got Gyökeres. So you've got those ones there. They're probably the ones that everybody wants, right? Sesko, you can throw into the mix as well, right? So Liverpool need to get this right. Now, obviously, listen, I think in an ideal world, everybody would love Liverpool to go out there and sign Alexander Isak, but it doesn't 100% look like that's going to be something that, Liverpool are going to be, able to kind of do. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not here to listen. At this point, I'm not really that bothered. Like, I'm more concerned with how the team is going to shape up, what it's going to kind of look like, in terms of the style of play and how we're going to get certain connecting dots and things like that. But it's interesting seeing that Ekitike looks like the one that we're working on. Is that because Isak looks a bit too unrealistic at this moment in time? Like, is that something that you guys are kind of cool with? So obviously we're going to take a quick look. Just looking at both Isak and obviously Ekitike. I think we've done this like a million times already. I know we must have done this on Enza stream before. But look, I just want to take a quick look, just at the kind of two players, just really see where they're at. Like, is it worth going for an Ekitike in the first place, in terms of the value for money, or is it better that Liverpool just go out there and just sign Alexander Isak for the money that Newcastle potentially are asking for, knowing that, and if you guys listen to Enter Stream, knowing that Harvey Elliott could potentially be used in that kind of deal. But listen, when we're looking at it on the face of it, like, yeah, I mean, forget the games. I don't know why I put that in there. Minutes, yeah, is this per 90? No, let's do per 90 first. So yeah, shots on target. Ekitike has had more on target for Frankfurt. Shots off target, he's obviously had more, hit the woodwork more. Isak's obviously scored more winning goals, more away goals, home goals, goals in general, 0.8 to 0.6. Non-penalty goals, I know quite a few people love looking at that, 0.7 to 0.5. Goals from inside the box, again, very close. Outside the box, Ekitike isn't scoring from outside the box. And the conversion rate. Now, this one was the interesting one. You guys can, hopefully you can see it. So obviously this is Isak on the right here with 30.26. Look at Ekitike's 17.24. I always feel like with Liverpool, it's like, why can't you just go out there and get what it is that you want? Like, we want a bagsman. Is Ekitike really the one? Like, and again, I'm not even trying to do the whole funny thing. Like, I'm genuinely asking, like, is he really the one that we would be able to rely on? And if I'm being honest, it's got to be right now. We can't, I'm not looking at what's the point of getting in more projects when this is an area of the pitch that we actually need to be solid. Like, we need this area, to be 10-10. And I feel like if it's not going to be 10-10, then in my head, I'm like, well, I don't want you wasting time necessarily trying to go out there and, get this guy. And I'm not saying that, someone like Ekitike can't do well or won't do well at Liverpool. But I'm thinking, but you could just go and get the guy that you're more confident in being able to, excuse me, execute those kind of plans. And I just think that's where sometimes Liverpool just kind of annoy me at times, man. But listen, it is what it is. But the conversion rate is there. It's quite a big gap. If it's close, I'm not really too bothered. You start taking things into context, like the team that you play for and the league and everything like that. But 32 to 30 to 17. Yo, that's almost half, man. That's quite a lot. Passing accuracy, yeah, not really bothered. Through balls, Ekitike is playing a lot. Well, not say a lot, but he's playing more. Layoffs, doing more. Forward passes, 4.3 to 5. Backward passes, 8.3. So he plays a lot of backward passes. So does Isak, to be fair, but he's 6.1. Sideways passes, take-ons over run, take-ons completed, 1.9 to 1.4. I think Savage asked a question. No, is it Savage? Or someone asked a question about who's techier. I feel like it was Savage. Apologies if it wasn't. But yeah, I feel like they're kind of similar in terms of their technical ability. If you went either or, if you say Ekitike, I'm not going to disagree. I'm not going to argue that case that it has to be Isak, because I don't think there's like a mad gap between the two. I think maybe they do certain things obviously a bit differently, but in terms of the overall technical ability, I feel like, yeah, it's kind of relatively calm. Isak's got a better take on success, aerial duels, contested. Ekitike is obviously contesting a lot more. So will that help with potentially Liverpool going long a lot more? He's winning obviously a lot more than Alexander Isak, 46% aerial duel success in comparison to the 32 of Isak. Touches, Ekitike, and touches in opposition box, fairly close, but you can see Ekitike comes out in that regards. Then again, he doesn't, play outside, excuse me, of the box anyway. So yeah, as I said before, it's interesting. It is interesting, looking at it, in that kind of way, in terms of, okay, so this is what you kind of get with an Ekitike, someone who's not 100% polished, and we know that. Is that going to be okay for us as Liverpool fans? Me personally, I'm like, you could have just gone out there and, potentially just gotten an Isak instead. To me, that would have made a bit more sense, but I'm not going to, it's like, I'm not going to argue it, because I don't think Ekitike is dead, and I don't want anyone to think that that's how I feel about Ekitike. I don't look at him like that. I look at him more as like, okay, you're a project kind of signing. Like, we should have signed you back when we got Nunes. Like, it's one of those, but you still got your senior striker, or you're the guy that you're not necessarily relying upon. Obviously, we've got Mo Salah. Is it a case of we can get an Ekitike for a lot cheaper than we can obviously get an Alexander Isak, which then allows us to then sort out other areas where we could potentially get more quality in? I really don't really know. But again, I think it's because, we've watched so far, Liverpool have, gone out there to spend the money on, Florian Wirtz and a Frimpong and a Kerkez. We're like, yo, just keep chucking money. Do you know what I mean? And that's, unfortunately, that's just the way that we're currently looking, at things. But yeah, I think, me personally, as I said, just go with Alexander Isak, man. We don't need to be doing the kerfuffle kind of things. Like, we don't really need all of that. We could just easily go out there, get an Alexander Isak, and I think Bob's your uncle, from there. Let's take a look, though, at the comparison of the two players. So I wanted to kind of see, like, in terms of the positions that they kind of take up, is that going to give me a somewhat indication as to where the two might potentially play? In terms of the areas of the pitch that they're going to obviously take up. Remember, we've still obviously got Florian Wirtz, who's now obviously we've got Mohamed Salah. There's still a few moving pieces, within that. Talk about flipping similar, innit? So this is both their heat maps from this season, right? Look how similar that is. Flipping heck. Yeah. As in, this is kind of the first time I'm looking at it as well. Yeah, it's actually mad similar. Both center circle here. Both areas, left and right as well. Yeah, it's actually mad. It is. It's actually mad. Goals, obviously, Isak getting 23 goals in the Premier League, with Ekitike with 15. Expected goals, though, was 21.67. Interesting. 0.5 to 0.7. Pass accuracy. Yeah. Yeah, but it's the heat maps. Yeah. I was interested about that, because I thought one of them I thought Ekitike might have, potentially more in this area, like in terms of the left wing area, so to speak. But then again, so does kind of Isak as well. And you can see Isak does drop deep quite a bit. Then again, so does Ekitike. Yeah. So they're similar in that kind of way. They are similar in that kind of way. So again, that is relatively interesting to see, in terms of how they might be able to set up in a Liverpool team, when we've got the likes of, as we mentioned before, you know, the Florian Wirtz and the Mohamed Salahs and, you know, those kind of players there. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting, man. Like it says, obviously, Liverpool are just working on the deal in itself for Ekitike. So yeah, I guess it's one of those let's wait and see how it kind of goes type of situations. But would you guys be happy? Let me know your kind of thoughts in the comment section. Like, is this something you kind of want Liverpool to be doing? Do you think, yeah, nah, let's just leave that one? Like, how are you guys kind of taking it in that sense? Do you think it's a smokescreen? That's something I was thinking about as well. Do we think it might just be a smokescreen potentially for an Isak or a Jokerit or an Osimhen? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section, people, and I'll catch you guys soon, man.